Hi, I'm Dave Schade. I'm the Director of the Division of Agriculture. I'm here with Rob Cardo. We're in Palmer at the Division headquarters, and we're doing another Facebook Live. Today we're going to do our third in a series of Facebook Lives on industrial hemp, and then I think we're going to move the program down the road to where we're doing not just industrial hemp, but other subjects as well. So today it's basically question and answer. We've been up and rolling for a couple of weeks. And with that, Rob, you kind of want to give a status of where we are, and then I think you're going to work them through some of the web pages, right?
Yeah. Good day, everyone. Again, my name is Rob Carter. I'm state agronomist and manage the Alaska Plant Material Center, and kind of shooing off this industrial hemp program for potential industry here in Alaska. So I think we've gone through another week of being in business or open for business for people to apply for registration to produce, process, or market industrial hemp or industrial hemp-based products, or to endorse a product through the program to make it legal to offer for sale or transport around the state. So we kind of, over the week, as we accept applications, and as we look at our application process as well as our endorsement process for products, we kind of collect all of interested parties' comments as well as comments from current and existing agricultural producers interested in growing industrial hemp. So we like to come back in this setting and try to answer the question for everybody. We do answer those questions to the individuals, but we like to bring them back up to everyone so that we have an opportunity for everyone to learn and grow from those questions. So as the director said, we're going to hop online to the Division of Ag Plant Material Center's website, take a look at the applications, look at the materials that are there, and walk you through that, because one of the questions we have received is, where can I find these? We do send people a link, but sometimes those questions come in via phone, and at that time we can't, or they've come in through live chat. So we want to be able to show you, I want to be able to show you where that's at, how to find it, the easiest way to find it. I think we'll start there, and then we'll go through some questions. So again, easiest way to find it for us is to stop completely with or just to hop on to a Google site at this point. For you, so pretty simple for us. We go here. The website itself is plants.alaska.gov, but if you can't remember that, you can go on and say Alaska Plant Material Center in your search bar. Actually comes up as this one here, and it comes to the top. So this is where we are. We work through on the left sidebar there of it. You can scroll down until you see industrial hemp, the industrial hemp pilot program. If you pick that, it will bring it to a new landing page. From there, this is an overview of it. So again, for everybody that is submitting these, we are trying to submit all of our applications for registration and endorsements online due to our current situation worldwide. So if you do have questions, our phone number, our main office phone number is there, and our awesome admin, Alicia, will direct you to someone that can help you out if you have questions to work through something. But from this website, pretty easy to find. You can, if you would like to read all of our regulations. One question we received is, where can I read the current regulations that were adopted for this program? And they are here at the top in the What's New category. We do have some links to previous Facebook Live events, so you can see or learn from other questions. I'm going to try not to repeat those questions, but some of them we have to, because we see that there's a lot of questions there. And below this is where you really get to see all the materials available for you to apply, register, or endorse a product, or get assistance in filling those forms out. So we have a lot of resources here. Next question, I guess we'll start there, is the first top three are your registrations to be a grower, a processor, or a retailer, and then to do an endorsement. There's an application for a transport permit that we haven't received a lot of questions about at this point, because we're not actually physically producing industrial hemp in the state of Alaska yet under this program. And of course some reporting forms that are required for each of those registrations. But if we go down to resources, one of the big questions we've received in the last 7 to 10 days is about hemp genetics. how one that is applied for, has the intent to apply for how can they get industrial hemp seeds or plant propagules. The way that this, and this question's I guess in twofold, we have a list here on our website of Alaska's Industrial Hemp Pilot Program's accepted hemp varieties. The most important thing about this is a way for us to collect some data over the coming years through this industry to identify which varieties are hemp. You have to remember that industrial hemp has been outlawed since the late 30s, and so the research, the breeding on the academic and professional side hasn't been there like it's been for wheat and potatoes and other traditional agricultural crops. But there are a lot of selections made. We know that there was a lot of what we call backyard breeding around the country and around the world over the years. So these have been identified as by a name. Our accepted variety list is here. If someone knows of a variety that is not on our list, I think we're currently about 260 different varieties on there. And this approved list will be quite liquid through the coming years. We haven't, under this program, produced any industrial hemp in Alaska with data collection based on its definition of 0.3% THC on a dry weight basis. So what we have done is we have looked at all other commercially grown or offered for sale varieties of industrial hemp in other state programs. We have added them to the list. We've been contacted by people in Alaska and outside of Alaska offering hemp genetics to program registrants. They are on that list, and if you open this list yourself, you'll see that there's a lot of information that's blank.
So Rob, some people missed your where you are on the website. You want to give them the link?
Yeah, so this is really easy. If you go to plants.alaska.gov, if you go into Google and search Alaska Plant Material Center, the first thing that comes up is us. You will find on that home page, the left-hand side, second link bar down, you'll find the industrial hemp page. That'll bring you to its home industrial hemp landing page. And we're talking about varieties, approved varieties, and access to seed at this point. So for this, here is the list. And so other states that have programs, pilot programs or state approved programs, federally approved programs, have a list. They do have prohibited varieties, and we will probably get to that at one point. We have put everything on there. You will see some varieties of concern on our list. That is because those have tested above 0.3 in another state program. And as we produce these and we get some analytical work done on harvested lots, we will be able to collect and maintain our own data here to identify if the source and the type or variety or quote-unquote strain of industrial hemp meets the definition of industrial hemp over the years. As things test above 0.3% or above 0.4% over multiple locations and production regimens, those most likely will become prohibited varieties in the future. Again, if you're a seed producer in another state under another program and you'd like to be added to the list, please email a list of your varieties you offer for sale, the program that you're involved in, to industrialhemp@alaska.gov. So as we follow that, back to some of my original question there was, where do we get it? It's available all over. You can find seed lists in most other states' industrial hemp programs. And you are, at this point, we are allowing individuals to procure those genetics and get them shipped to Alaska at this point, as long as their application has been submitted to our program. So we do have hemp seeds coming into applicants, I guess, future registrants of our program. So we have their registration, we have their application, and we're processing those now, and they have made orders. You may run into a situation, as many have, where the program itself or the hemp seed distributor would not or will not ship without your registration number. If you're waiting on us or waiting on your registration number to meet that requirement of that state, you can always email us at industrialhemp@alaska.gov, and we've reached out to some of those other state programs and those people offering those genetics for sale to say, hey, it's okay to approve it to send to this person because we have a pending application. I think there that One other question we've had, again, through our resources, is there are some very specific mapping requirements for our registrants or the people supplying applications. Please take the time to look in that resources and look at the map example. That is what is regulatorily required for you to have on your map, so we can identify you, so we can make sure that we can let state public service folks know that you are a registrant of our program, and that that you are registered and producing industrial hemp and not another cannabis crop. So please make sure that those maps are as best as you can get them. If you're having some technical difficulties while filling out your application and doing your mapping, please contact us, shoot us an email to industrialhemp@alaska.gov. We have some awesome resources within the division that are willing to help out. They create maps on a daily basis, and we will direct you to those individuals. You can speak to them over the phone or via email, and they'll help you generate a map for your farm or your production or processing facility so that we meet those requirements. So we're trying to help as much as we can in that example. So we've had a significant amount of applications for all three of our registrations. I expect there to be a lot more, and we'll continue to go through that. I would say that next big question for us is in the endorsement of a product. For us not having manufactured products under this program in the state of Alaska at this point, that are registered processors or retailers, and because we haven't had any legal industrial hemp produced in the state. We have a lot of out-of-state businesses looking to endorse their products to be able to offer them for sale in the state of Alaska through registered retailers. There are some questions that we get every day for the last week about those endorsements, and the forms can be a little confusing because they are new. We are making modernizations to those to make sure the language is easy for anyone reading them. The way that an individual can endorse a product is they can endorse the batch itself of processed industrial hemp. If you're a processor registered with us, you can endorse your process. If there's a product that you are endorsing, or a product line, that can be an endorsement in itself. You know, the intent behind this is to make sure that these products are safe for the end user, and we want to make sure that they meet our analytical requirements and our testing requirements. So we are after and looking for the industrial hemp derivative that's incorporated into some of these products. So as you open that up and you go through, as you have questions, please, before submitting the endorsement, please give us an email, or if you'd like to talk to someone in person, shoot us an email and say, hey, can I get a contact phone number? We'll reach out to you, leave your name and number. We'll reach out to you, or we'll give you a number to contact us at a convenient time for you. We can help you through that endorsement, because there is, in our regulations, a fee for an endorsement modification. So if you do submit an endorsement and it gets processed and you make a change, you could incur another fee that a lot of folks are trying not to do these days. So let us help you work through that process, because there are a few different processes. Any questions online?
One that I've had a number of time in, it comes around to people are asking about how this is can be incorporated as an animal feed, and so can you kind of, you know, that's an area that is really not clear. So if you could kind of fill people in on the feed regs and kind of how this industrial hemp is going to be kind of worked out over time, because it's not real clear right now.
I will say that lack of definitive federal guidance, it is a confusing subject, because, and funny enough, that's not a question I've received in the last week, but it had been over the previous year. Industrial hemp as a feed for animals, as some may or may not know, all animal feed is regulated by the FDA on a federal level, and has some very specific requirements to labeling, to nutrient analysis, and of course if it's a approved product or a product that's approved as generally recognized as safe. Hemp has not been at that point. I know there are around the country industrial hemp producers and processors submitting applications to get that GRAS certificate to say it's generally recognized as safe. On the federal level, industrial hemp to be offered for sale as an animal feed is not legal. It is legal for an individual to produce industrial hemp and then feed it to their own animal through that but it is and cannot be offered for sale as an animal feed. I know that's going to be very confusing because many of us have been to a store, a retail outlet, where we've seen industrial hemp derivatives incorporated into products for our pets. And that is part of this very large gray area that we're lacking from specific direction from the USDA. Again, we are treating those products in this program as an industrial hemp endorsement. We are looking at them as wellness products for animals in the state of Alaska, and so if you are manufacturing an industrial hemp-based product, it has to meet or exceed our tolerances for a product that would be intended for human consumption. So across the board, if you expect to grow thousands of acres of industrial hemp, bale that, silage that, or green chop that and sell it off as feed, you can run astray very quickly with the FDA. So at this point, we haven't seen the federal guidance, and I haven't seen it. Again, I haven't looked in the last few days, but I think I would have heard about it. It is a busy time on the federal level. But if it is a wellness product, we are looking to make sure that that product's, again, safe and the equivalent standard of what we are holding for human consumption as well. Right.
And so the other part of that is some folks in the recreational side have been wanting to do it for animal feed. And so if the derivative CBD is from marijuana, then that's under AMCO's jurisdiction. But if it's coming from industrial hemp, then it's going to be under our jurisdiction. So, one thing I want to talk to industry and make sure they understand, it's going to be imperative that people understand where the source material for all these products comes from and keep very good records and clear records, whether this is coming from a recreational cannabis state program or whether it's coming from the state's pilot program for industrial hemp. Two different set of rules, two different set of criteria that we're all going to have to follow. So, one thing we will be is looking out in the different facilities to see that people have that chain of custody, that ability to track from what plant that is derived from. So, yeah, there's a lot of gray areas. I know that people are surprised to find out that in the recreational programs, they're going to be selling products that are actually coming under our program, and so they're actually going to have two sets of regulators in the stores. And so that's something that we work well with AMCO and talking to them to make sure they understand what we're doing, and if we walk in and figure out something is their jurisdiction, we hand it right back over to them. So working together, you may see one or either of us in facilities or places that are selling both of those products.
So for us, from that standpoint, if you are offering for sale industrial hemp cannabis-based products, it is of the utmost important to submit an application to be a retailer, as well as make sure that the products that you are offering for sale are endorsed, have a COA, or meet the requirements or exceed the requirements of our testing standards of the products that are in our regulations. I will say that one question we did have this week was, where can I find those testing standards? They are in our regulations. I know that's a significant amount of pages long, and so we're working to generate another resources that will be here on our page that has a breakdown of what our tolerable levels are of each individual product, so that we can make sure it's a little easier so you don't have to run through that regulation process. And as you see these resources online, they're identified because they're required in our regulations or as part of your application, and so we've kind of tried to forecast where we'd see difficulties in these resources, examples of your signage, examples of your registration number, and how those are derived. Those will be a little different from endorsement numbers, which is coming as well, so people are understanding of what those are. It is a learning process for us as well, for all industries across the country and for the state of Alaska at this point. So if there's materials on here, if you have questions that you haven't seen, more will be coming daily, as well as when they're kind of industry driven. If we see multiple people having difficulties with a part of an application, a lack of a resource, and we get those requests, and we will be developing some resource materials. I know that a lot of individuals in the last week have said, hey, there's a waste and disposal of hemp in a destruction reporting form. Is there any guidance on waste? Again, we've got that question multiple times in the last week. We will develop more. From our standpoint of industrial hemp being an agricultural crop, we want to see as much as that industrial hemp waste, either from post-processing or post-harvest, be composted. So our regulations state very specifically that it needs to be mixed basically 1-to-1 with another non-industrial hemp-based product, make it unrecognizable and very difficult to separate. But I would say from an agricultural standpoint, I'd rather see that composted, incorporated back into the soil, used for another product that could be offered for sale for Alaska businesses, rather than see it get garbage bagged and stuck into a landfill somewhere. So that form is there. If you look in the regulations, we will try to generate some waste disposal information, because there's some specific items that we request that it be mixed with in equal parts, or ground up or incorporated back into the soil if it's a crop that may have tested above the legal limit. We will try to get those resources out and available so that we can help you either take those industrial hemp waste products and convert them into another product that could be a revenue generator, or even used on your farm or in your operation. But we want to make sure that first off they follow the regulations, and second off they're not filling up our landfills with a bunch of green waste. So I think that was one question I've seen a significant amount of here, just with people preparing to produce or process that may have some industrial hemp waste.
Yeah, the one thing that I want to emphasize is if you have something that you want to do, because I had a gentleman saying, could I use it for another product? And I go, yeah, that's fine. Just you have to apply to us and tell us what you want to do for further processing or for another use. I mean, that's why the regulations were written, so that people can innovate. But the thing you need to do, come to us, let us approve your process, make sure it's legit so that we don't have problems down the road. So, you know, we can work with everybody pretty easily to make sure that we're maximizing the use of this product, like you said. So just because it's in the book as these are our proposals, we want people to know that if they have another idea, they can come back to you and your team and get that approved or not approved. But the idea is to communicate often and clearly. So we want to be able to do that on our part, and we need you to be able to do that on your part, so that we build a really strong industrial hemp program based on truth and honesty and integrity in the system. Because one thing as the director I'm a little concerned about is products that are out there on the market that may not be safe, that could jeopardize what we're doing here. And so we're going to really encourage people to get inside the program, to work with it, to make sure that the labeling's done, to make sure the testing's done. You know, slowly but surely we'll ramp up enforcement. But as Rob said, and the one thing I really, really want to emphasize today is now's the time to get registered. You know, folks, if you're not registered, you're not in the program. And yes, your application is step one. So the one thing that we encourage everybody to do is get registered, and even if we can't process those right away, you're going to be, as a registrant or an applicant, you know, have a reasonable explanation of what you're doing if somebody comes and knocks at the door, and we'll move forward as we need to on that. So thanks, Rob.
I do want to go back to where we were for those that have come in late. If anybody's come in late, if you want to find us and find the program, again, you can work through the division's website, or you can go to Google. You can enter Alaska Plant Material Center. It brings you to our homepage. From there, on the left-hand side, you will see a link to the Industrial Hemp Program. You can click that, and this is where, again, in the first thing you'll see there, this computer is way faster than I am, sorry. A copy of our adopter regulations that are here for your reading pleasure. And then again, all of the forms to become a registered grower, a retailer, or a processor of industrial hemp and industrial hemp products. And of course, a product endorsement if it is industrial hemp based. So I think that following up with a few more questions that we have had, I think, is does an individual need a transportation permit to move seed from the airport to their farm? And no, at this point, we don't require a transportation permit to move that seed or to receive that seed from an outside source to get it to your farm. If you have an application in with us to become a registered grower in the state of Alaska. And we expect to see our growers registrations start being finalized tomorrow. Due to a little bit of our social distancing issues that we're having, I guess even here, you know, generally we're open for business, you know, and we have people come in and we work through processes for all types of agricultural issues. At this point, you know, we're having to work through online systems. Send us information, industrialhemp@alaska.gov. If you have questions, if you need assistance with maps or with your process or your application or for your endorsement, if you just are new to this crop and have questions, we talk a lot of industrial hemp these days and have been for the last year. But again, we're really trying to build ourselves an industry here in the state of Alaska. We've seen some significant growth around the country in the last 12 to 18 months. We don't expect that to slow down at all, and I think that Alaska's, again, I think we've said this before, are pretty ingenuitive, and will find ways to produce, process industrial hemp into a multitude of different products that we can offer for sale and get folks generating revenue from this new industry. So if you have questions, please contact us at the top of it. If you have concerns, we've had a couple applications because our applications state that you have to submit your payment for your application and your registration at the time of the application. Generally, in the normal world, we could do that. We can do them as we get them through email. We can do them as we get through mail. Checks can come. People can come in and run their credit card. But with our social distancing measures in place, working through this, please submit your application as it's completed. And once we have looked at that, we have gone through and made sure that met our legal requirements. We will then reach out to you via email or phone and give you a time or a phone number that you can call and pay by credit card so that we can finally hit the submit and we're done on your application. Once an application is received, the payment is received and is approved, you will get an electronic version of your registration back from us that has your registration number. We know multiple people or businesses have submitted applications for all three types of registrations and product endorsements at this point. We will call you, we will receive your fees from you, and you will get a registration number, a different unique identifier for each one of those registrations, as well as your product endorsements. And even endorsements, you may get multiple depending on if it's a batch, a product line, or an individual product of industrial hemp or hemp derivative that you're endorsing. So you will receive that back from us. That's some paperwork that you need to maintain on your farm and your operation, again, to protect the program, to protect the industry, and to protect yourself. And again, same thing with endorsements, you know, making sure that the analytical has been done on those products to make sure they're safe for the end user. That they don't have any of the stuff that we don't want in there, and then of course that hopefully securing a stronghold to make this a long-term industry for the state of Alaska. Any other questions?
I think that covers it. We're almost up on our time. I think, you know, I really appreciate the response we've had on the internet. We really appreciate the viewership, appreciate the people doing the shares. All this, we've kind of decided we kind of like this setup. So
do we?
Yeah. Rob he's our expert on industrial hemp, so he's been doing a lot of the show here. We're going to continue Tuesdays at 1, and we're going to not only do industrial hemp, but we're going to bring in other subjects. We're going to try to be helping people know what the resources for COVID are. We're going to talk about some invasive issues, Alexander Sucker Lake Complex. You know, we'll probably bring Dan in and you and talk about what we're going to do this summer to kill the lodia we have out there. Not
getting rid of me yet.
No.
We're going to talk about Alaska Grown and international marketing and all the things that we do here at the division to support you, those folks out there. So with that, you know, Rob, I want to really thank you and your team for all of the hard work. I want to thank all the people that have asked the great questions because I can tell you that people have spent a lot of time looking and figuring, and they've asked really great questions that we worked really hard to get answers back to you. The team, you know, we're small, but we're mighty, I think. We're getting a lot of work done in challenging times. So, you know, we appreciate everybody taking the time to work with us to get this done, because it's really going to be important that as a state and as everybody, we work together to get through these challenging times in food and fiber production. So with that, thank you all.
Thank you very much.
Have a
I
great day.
appreciate it.